Hey everybody, me again. There's so much happening within that I just have to keep coming in and kind of speaking through it. I'm a verbal processor. I think that's what this is all about. I think what this YouTube channel has, I've always kind of like wondered what it really was with daily tune-ins and peace talks and now Storehouse Stories and what I'm realizing, it's really a vlog, a diary of going through a process when majority of the world doesn't know this ascension process. And I mean, the majority of the world does know, because really ascension is the evolutionary transition of a soul through physical form. Many religions have been created, around it and all of that. But what is happening now is, in this time period that we're in, with it elevating and speeding up at such an accelerated rate, we as the humans in this process are upgrading and becoming new in a way that no human has ever experienced in planetary history. This planet has never existed in the frequency range that we are calibrating to, that's becoming the new frequency range, the new normal range, the new heartbeat of Earth. And what I had to think through that, I want to make sure I'm saying this correctly, because yes, we have had pole shifts, about 5 in recorded human history, going back thousands and thousands and thousands of years, because it's a 26,000 year cycle. So yes, we humans have gone through the same period in the same orbit in space, through the same photon belt that we're in. However, because of where we are at the moment, we have never been able, every time we've gotten to this place in planetary orbit, we've had a cataclysmic event that has taken out humans and animals, and the Earth had to restore herself. But now we are in a place where she is ascending into a higher frequency, into a higher expression, and those beings on this planet who can hold that same vibration, as she ascends, as she grows, so too do we. So for those of us who are able to hold this same vibration, we elevate with her into that higher existence, and it's happening in our lifetime, in this physical lifetime. So we are living something we've never lived before. The other thing too is, in this very moment, we have a lot of galactic energies coming in. And what I mean by galactic is, we have a lot of solar activity that's coming in, but there's just as much, if not more, energy that is being pumped in, that we can see on NASA technology, as well as NOAA technology. So we can see through scientific technology that we are getting massive amounts of energy that are not solar sourced, but are galactic sourced. So they're coming from another source, and that source is our galactic friends. So here's the thing: we are not alone. We have many extraterrestrials walking this planet, and quite frankly, I'm here to say, if you think we are still the only ones in a whole universe, holy Moses, I mean, I don't know, I try not to judge, but I have to judge that at this point. We have so much evidence that shows us we are not alone, and we are being helped on this process, because when we expand, so too does the universe. We live in an expanding universe. So something is happening right now. There are many humans that know it. There are many people who have studied it, who have followed it, who have a deeper understanding. I call these the spiritual leaders, the people who have realized along their human journey that there's something more important, that there's something more meaningful and a more purposeful way to live our lives. We demand a life of peace, and we work towards that peace. Our work is to develop peace within, so that we can create it without outside of ourselves. And when we do that, it expands everything, including the universe. So yeah, you're welcome for all the people who still laugh and say, we're the only ones in the world. You know, there is a whole network of us who understand we're not, and we are being helped in this process because we have no idea what we're doing, and we remember as we go. How we remember as we go is by being in tune, by being aware of our consciousness. Our consciousness is the sum total of what we think, how we feel, how we behave, what we, our habits, our behaviors. So the sum total of our consciousness is our total intelligence. And if we are in tuned with our thoughts and continually updating our thoughts, so we let go of any old programming that teaches us that we are not enough, that we don't have power, that we don't have abundance, that we are limited or held down in some way. We are sovereign beings. We are spiritual beings here to having a human experience, so we can create that experience as expansively and as abundantly as we want to. And many of us, the spiritual leaders in the world at this time, those of us who really, truly eat, think, and breathe peace, we know that there is something going on. I just totally got I just totally got off of my thought process or out of my channel because Pepe came by. He brought his little channel by. I don't know where he went so quickly. He moves around so fast. But for those of us who eat, sleep, and breathe always, how can I bring peace to this? How can I bring peace to that? And I'm not talking about the world at first. I'm talking about our own individual lives. And once we start hitting peaceful, getting more and more peaceful in all aspects of our lives, no matter where we are in them, we come to peace, then we can start to recreate how we build that aspect of our life so that we build it in a more expansive and peace foundational way. You know, it's founded in peace. That's what's happening right now. We're founders of a whole new world, because as we move up in this frequency, we are opening up then realms of our consciousness that we've never crossed into. So there's more information there's more data, but this data is truth. Like, it's not from outside, it's not from Google where you're like, do I believe this or not? Like, we all know, we're like, oh yeah, I learned it on the internet, good luck with that, because we all can now see that you don't know what's truthful and not, because things are just 1 degree off either way. It's not truth, but it could sound a lot like truth. So discernment in this time is so needed. But when you expand and you have a new thought or a new idea for the first time, and you've never had that before, but you just feel it in your consciousness, then says, how does that feel? And it feels like, oh wow, that's amazing. Like, I'd be all right with that. That means you've crossed into that new realm of data and information, and the feeling you got confirms that that's truthful for you. Therefore, when we just stay in our inner consciousness and take action towards that which is illuminated, we are on the pathway. We are on the soul-aligned destiny pathway, which means we are on the pathway that ascends with the planet. So whatever happens, as she evolves, so too do we. But we have to be at a place of peace for that. So one of the things that came through, I just want to share with you, is I ran across the word bandwidth earlier today, and it was like, bam, my supernal channel blew open, and I started getting messages that I wanted to come up here and share with you about bandwidth. So right now on the Schumann resonance, before I left to walk up here on this spot, the Schumann resonance, we were getting some, like, we were in like 4 hours of pure white. Pure white is a flash. It is a wash of energy. It's big energy. The last 2 videos I've done on YouTube, I've talked about there's a big presence, a big energy that is coming into our world. Hi girl, here's the other one. Hi. I know you've been on your walk. Look how happy she is. She's just so happy to be. Oh, she's just gonna sit here. You gonna sit here? Okay. I've been talking about this big presence, and in my own mind, I'm like, what is this big presence? Because it is something that is coming into the physical realm. And we have to stay, even though these energies are so big, and they, as they're coming in, they're coming through, like, you know, from the galactic side of help from source. And then we're also getting it from source itself through the sun. These energies are coming in, they're expanding our consciousness, we're having new ideas. These ideas are fully aligned because we're thinking, I love that idea, yes, yes, yes. I got a message from a friend today, and she's like, I'm getting messages, but they're like poems. And she read me one, and I was like, what? She, like, all of a sudden, she's a poet now. Like, she's pulling in her supernal channel messages with a poem. And I literally got her audio today. She sent me a text message audio, and I was laughing. So I was like, that's the coolest thing. But I'm finding with my own self that these new understandings of how we manifest using quantum physics is coming to me. Like, I am not a math whiz, I'm not a science, physics, any, like, all of it, but I'm starting to understand things in a way I've never understood it before. So as these massive energies are coming in right now, Schumann resonance is spiking. It feels big. Something feels very big that's not looming. It's not a looming presence. It's a building an expansive presence that just feels like when it finally pops. For those of us having this conversation, if you're resonating and you're here, you're in a higher, I don't want to say higher intelligence, like you're smarter. It's more, you have a whole intelligence. So you understand something's happening right now, and you may not be totally sure, but something's going on, and you're kind of looking for maybe some connecting of the dots and tuning into videos like this. So if you are here, when this thing pops, this looming, no, I don't want to use that word, this like massive, it's just like a balloon. You know when you blow a balloon and it kind of gets to that point where you know it's going to pop soon? That kind of presence, that kind of feeling, that anticipation, that's it. The anticipation that I feel is so big. And I'm not the only one who is confirming this. So as what the message is today is, as we are experiencing these energies that we can now see coming in through the technology of science, we can feel them through our own spiritual technology, which is our operating system for those of us who've cleansed and cleared and are you know, pretty open channels at this point. We can feel this technology working within us, and it feels a lot different. It's our new programs, our new operating system. You know, it's intuitive, but it's not quite where we understand it. So we're still getting to learn it, because our consciousness is expanding so fast. We're taking in so much information that we haven't quite comprehended it. We haven't fully grounded it. But what's happening now with these pulses of energy, we are being pulsed. Our bandwidth is being pulsed into us right now with these big energy, like this. When I say big energies, they're like they're ones we haven't been able to withstand up until now. So these energies are so big that if you're 2 years ago, you took your being, your consciousness, and put it into who you are now, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't fit. Something would be so off kilter that you would pop back out. Like you couldn't stay in this form. And that's because the energy over the last 2 years has gotten you progressively higher and higher and higher. So now what's happening, so that progression was like a wave. We kept getting these waves, you know. Waves can be pretty intense, and we've talked about waves, you know, energy waves, tsunamis for the last 2 years on daily tune-ins and on Peace Talks. But what's happening now is we're transitioning to pulse. Like it's an intense like pulse of energy that's being pulsed into you now because you can handle it. But it's still what's happening now. Instead of it being like 2 years ago, it would have been painful. So there are many people who are still resisting these new energies. So they're in resistance. They're having physical symptoms. They're not feeling well. There's a lot of stuff going on emotionally, mentally, and physically. People are in a lot of pain because of these higher frequencies. For those of us who now we're not being pulsed, like, and the pain part isn't as much of the healing part, the purging part. It is getting used to the expansion of consciousness. Because what used to happen when in the old program, when we got a lot of energy, our bandwidth would expand outward, meaning we would put energy here and here and here, and we compartmentalize it further outside of ourselves because we had a lot of energy. We'd clean the house. Like, I'm just using, like, most people would clean the house and get some work done and then go get the kids and then go and at the end of the day be so fully exhausted because they've overextended beyond that energy and made it too big, right? And expanded it out, gave out too much. Whereas right now, because of our expansion in consciousness is so mind-blowing and so exhausting, our bandwidth is being pulsed down deeper into the roots of who we are, and I'm going to say higher, and connecting in to our higher source, our higher intelligence. So we are really being pulsed into place. If you think of the other day, Bud was putting some poles into the ground in the garden, and he got up on the excuse me, he got up on the ladder and took a not a hammer, but a, what's the other thing, and was like beating it down. Sorry, totally brain fart. I'm in another dimension. So he was like plucking it down, you know. So it had to be pulsed down, chink, 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 to really get rooted in the ground and be centered in the new land that it is being pounded into. That is what's happening to us. Our bandwidth is in service to all. Therefore, we have to be rooted down into the roots of Earth and connected into her energetic grid. So when we give, it goes into the 5D grid and feeds all. So we've got to be rooted pretty deeply down into our center, and at the same time, this source power, this pulse is coming from source. So we are fully connected into the source of this 5D energy, and it is just now pulsing it in so we can calibrate at an accelerated rate, because this big eminent presence is about to be birthed. Like, it's imminent, right? You know, so something imminent is going to be birthed into your life, and when that comes, you've got to remain grounded, because it's going to want to take you high into some experience, and we've got to remember that we've got to bring that experience back down into our physical bodies so that we can be of service and bring that experience and share it in some way to all, and keep fueling the waves of ascension, the waves of people one by one that are ascending into these higher realms, and we are there to support them by just being aware of our own journey, being aware of how the energy affects us, being aware of when that energy affects us, what are the behaviors, what are the patterns, what do I start thinking, what happens. Being aware of every moment is what us spiritual leaders are doing at the moment. We're all in a different perspective. We have different things to pay attention to, and what I'm finding myself feeling more and more called to do is to really break down into practical speak what this ascension process is, because it's so subtle, but it is so intense at the same time. It's the weirdest thing. You know, like, you can't really see it with your eyes, but you know stuff's changing, and then all of a sudden now I'm starting to see things change before me, and that's the part that I'm sharing from my perspective. So this has been another storehouse story, is what I'm calling them. Like, all the things that are nurturing my inner storehouse at the moment. And my supernal channel is on fire right now, and it's what's nurturing me, it's what's sustaining me, it's what's keeping me grounded, it's what's, you know, whispering to me that it's time to go for a walk, it's time to share your experience. We've got, you know, we've got words that we want to give you to help give to others so that they can better understand what's happening in this world right now. It's crazy. It's crazy cool to be a part of it and to know, you know, really what's going on. And I know it's frustrating for many of us because a lot of people don't know. So, you know, there's not that many conversations that we can have, that we can speak so openly like this. And at the same time, that's what we're building. We are building that world, and my world is called Storehouse Social, and it's going to be for all of us to come together and sit around a fire and have a beer, a tea, a water, whatever the hell you choose, whatever is good for you and good for all of us to have a good time together. We're going to give each other cheers and be like, this is some intense shit, right? But we're going to laugh about it, because all of us, I know, for the conversations that I do have, every one of us has been on our own super intense, unique journey. And it's fascinating to see how it's all showing up. It's fascinating how unique of an experience it is, and at the same time, a very similar collective experience. So that's where I'm at today. I've got one dog over here, y'all. Look how sweet. This is Priya. I just want to show you. And there's Pepe over there. He's keeping watch. This is my surroundings. So these two dogs are pure peace. Every time I sit down, they run nonstop, but every time I sit down to do anything like this, they always gravitate and they always eventually lay down, and they bring their peace. They are nothing but pure God, universe, spirit in one little being, just as you are too. So a bunch of peaceful beings are around with us right now, and we're sending you lots of peace from this mountainside. So much love. I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.